Hello, Frugal females and Frugal fellas. Welcome back to the Frugal Females Challenge, the month-long online activity spread all across North America where people are coming together to really challenge how they're spending their money in unnecessary and unhelpful ways. We are joined again by Daysha Carter of Everyday Budgeting. She is a financial coach and financial consultant that's been joining us the last couple of weeks, introducing the concepts of easy budgeting, easy savings, and today we're going to talk about debt, the four-letter word that nobody likes to talk about. Let's get started. Deja, nobody likes talking about debt. It's like the dentist. Why? Why does it exist? Why do we need to talk about it? Why is it important?
That is a great question. And in fact, I think I've heard it's worse than the dentist.
Oh, God.
Debt is a scary thing to a lot of people. And I think a lot of that is because people only think of debt as a bad thing. But the truth is, there is, good debt and bad debt. And it's only usually the bad debt that we talk about and focus on and that keeps us up at night.
Oh, yeah. The good debt versus bad debt. Can you give some examples of the two?
Absolutely. So, bad debt would be debt on your credit card, where if you're looking at your budget, your expenses are higher than your income. So, that's more of the everyday type of debt. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's avoidable, but it is certainly there. Good debt would be things that you have to do or feel you have to do, but that you might not be able to pay for right away. A great example that a lot of us probably have is student loan debt.
Yes.
So that really is an example of good debt. Taking out student loan debt and going to school might position you to move forward in your career, hopefully increase your income as you go throughout your career. But a lot of us, especially, at the tender age of 18 or 19, if that's when you're just starting school, and even for those that are older, the rising cost of school just, when I was 18, I certainly didn't have, you know, 15 or $20,000 a year to go to school, but I knew that it was something that was going to be important to me.
So I've heard these concepts of assets and liabilities.
Mm-hmm.
Good debt might be an asset, something that will make you money or potentially help you earn more money.
That's exactly right.
Liability sounds like a bad debt, things that put you too far over the ledge.
Exactly, exactly. So an asset would be going to school, like we mentioned, or a home. Typically, if a home appreciates, it's considered an asset. A liability would certainly be, your credit card bills. In some cases, even a vehicle or a car note could be considered a liability, just because the car value, if you buy a new car, your value decreases so quickly that the value of the vehicle might be less than what you still owe. And that could be considered a liability.
Yeah, nobody wants to end up upside down. You mentioned another thing here that I think is a little bit loaded, and that was credit cards. I feel like there's a lot to be said for the usefulness of credit cards, and then also a lot to be leery of with credit cards.
Absolutely. So credit cards have a lot of good benefits, including helping an individual or family establish debt, so establish a credit score, which can be a good thing if you decide that you want to purchase a home. Then a good history on a credit card is beneficial. You have a lower interest rate, maybe lower payments, but credit cards can be a slippery slope as well. If you're using your credit card without paying much attention throughout the month, then you can be surprised by the final bill. And if you're not able to pay your bill in full every month, then that really would be considered bad debt, if you will.
So if I did, or if any of our frugal females or frugal fellas did have bad debt, what can we do about it?
Well, the very first thing I usually recommend is get a sense of what it is. Not it's you, You may or may not be surprised by the number of people who really just don't know how much they owe and to whom. So I always start with recommending writing down every bill that you have and the amounts. So you start with organization, and that is where your budget can be really, really helpful. If you unpack your debt line so that it's not a total, but maybe credit card one, credit card two, student loan, hospital bill. So if you unpack all those things, once you have a sense of what you owe, then it becomes a lot easier to identify strategies to start to tackle them and take care of them.
Some strategies that I think our frugal females and frugal fellows have used in the past, the snowball strategy.
Absolutely. So the snowball methodology is one where you organize your debt from lowest to highest, and you pay the minimum balance or the minimum amount due on every piece of debt, and then your smallest one you pay extra on, and you continue to pay that until you pay that off. Now let's say you are paying $50 per month on that smallest debt. Well, once that's gone, you can take that $50 and add it to whatever you are paying on the next smallest debt. So you build a snowball of income, so that by the time you're on your last debt, you're paying maybe several hundreds of dollars per month, which helps you to pay it off faster and ultimately saves you money in the long run in interest payments.
Just from a personal perspective, I actually did that snowball method. And 3 years ago when we started the Frugal Females Challenge, I think I had 5 or 6 lines of debt, and now I'm down to a single student loan.
Wow,
so
congrats, that's amazing.
Thank you.
That really is amazing.
It feels so good to, even if they were those small like parking tickets or, you know, borrowing money from my mom or dad, even though they were just little ones and paying them off, felt so good to not have to worry about that anymore.
Absolutely.
And it feels so good to only have good debt now, my student loan, which is kind of a hot topic, but at least that I know that it was a worthy investment, and since then I haven't been using my credit cards and things like that. So.
Okay. Well, and that's the key, right? If you go through the struggle really of paying off your debt, what you want to make sure is that you don't get in that position again.
Yes.
And if you're not paying attention, that those credit cards we talked about earlier can put you back in that position, which you want to avoid.
Yes, easily. Well, thank you so much for joining us this month. We've talked about budgeting, we've talked about debt, we've talked about savings. I really feel like our Frugal Females and Frugal Fellows have a solid foundation to kind of grow beyond. And so if anybody has any further questions about your specific situation, Daysha is offering her services. She can be found online on Facebook, Everyday Budgeting, or everydaybudgeting.com. Feel free to reach out to her directly to make a consultation or ask your specific questions. We'll also be responding to comments or questions. If you have any, please feel free to post or share your success stories with paying down your debt or your debt strategies or sage advice from moms about no such thing as shoe emergencies. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Everyone.
Bye.